Shalom, shalom, brothers. Shalom, sisters.
Shalom.
Shalom.
All praises. This is the Shabbat of the Most High. Hope everybody's doing good, resting on the Shabbat. Of course, on the Shabbat, continue to teach the word of the Most High, do the work of the Most High. And today we're talking about war. The name of this class is Who and What is a Soldier of the Most High? Who and what is a soldier of the Most High? So, what is a soldier? Soldier is one that fights wars, right? In the beginning, a soldier was one that defended his people and their country. Now, today's soldier, they're all over the place in different countries, foreign lands. They're actually protecting in some cases, but a U.S. soldier would protect what? U.S. interests. So no matter where they are in the world, they're there to protect the interests of the United States, and they'll tell you that. So they're not necessarily protecting the U.S. homeland itself, but the U.S. interests, which could be anything from raw materials to strategic military positions to anything that they protect. But in the beginning, the role of a soldier was to protect his country and his people. Okay, but now the reason why the classes are titled Who and What is a Soldier of the Most High is because we're all at war. And the war that we are in today is not the typical war where you're on a field with tanks and guns and weapons and so forth. This is a spiritual war. And because it's a spiritual war, all of us are involved. This is a war that requires us to not use weapons or physical weapons, but to use spiritual weaponry. Okay? Wow. So that's the kind of soldiers we are today. We are all soldiers because we're all in this war, but we have to continually acknowledge that, because when we don't, then we're asleep and we're being taken advantage of, right? The war doesn't end when you get tired. The war doesn't end when you go to sleep. The war doesn't end when you got a problem. The war doesn't end when you're sick. This is a continual war, continual warfare, constantly and always at our doorsteps, okay? So let's start today in the book of Matthew. We're going to start in the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 34, where Yahushua Christ lays it down and lays it out what kind of warfare we be fighting in this day and time. Matthew chapter 10, verse 34.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth.
So Christ is trying to tell you that when he was here, he didn't come to send peace on the earth. He is the king, called the King of Peace, and he is the King of Peace, but that's to bring peace to Israel. But when he was here, the peace that he brought was between the Israelites and the Most High. Okay, the readoption of the Israelites back to the Most High. How did he do that? By being crucified and offering himself up on the cross. Okay, which is a war within itself. But the war that this is talking about, read that again.
Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth.
So if he's not come to send peace on earth, what did he come to send? War, warfare, spiritual warfare. Read on.
I came not to send peace, but a sword.
Now, most Christians and most people in the churches wouldn't expect these words to come out of the mouth of Christ, out of Yahushua, but these are his words. These are his words. And the reason why we're living the way we're living is because we don't understand the kind of mission that he was on. So he said, think not that I'm come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. What is a sword? An instrument of war. Read on.
Okay. Matthew 10 and 35. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
So what kind of warfare is this? How is a sword used in this manner? This is called spiritual warfare. This is called division of the families. This is called what will ultimately cause chaos. And what is the problem? What is the reason for that? The reason for that is called trials and tribulations. Trials and tribulations are part of warfare. It's a part of our perfecting. It's a part of us being tried on the stage of the Most High. So when he says, I am come to set a man at variance against his father, that's called division. And a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against a mother-in-law, that's all called division. And that's what in our families now. So the war moved from the battlefield into our homes. And what does that mean? When the war moved from the battlefield into our homes, it means that everybody was involved. In the beginning, it was just soldiers on the field fighting each other. But when the war moved from the battlefield into our homes, everybody became involved. Read.
35. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
So your enemy now is not the enemy you fought on the battlefield anymore. It's not a foreign nation. It's not a country trying to invade you. It says what? And a man's foe shall be they of his own household. So the enemy that you're fighting today, my brothers and sisters, are those within your own household. This is what Christ prophesied and told us what would happen. Now ask yourself a question. Why is the divorce rate so high? Why is there so much bad relationships? Why is it that even in our own communities, there's so many one-parent households? This is why. This is why. Because the warfare, we didn't know. We weren't. It was always here, but we didn't pay attention to it. Our pastor, reverend, priest, and minister didn't tell us this because they're not in that zone. But this is where the warfare is today. And a man's foes, meaning his enemies, shall be they of where? His own household. So when you find yourself not getting along with whoever else is in the household, this is why. And Yahushua Christ prophesied that this would happen. So this is the kind of warfare we're fighting today. So what kind of soldier do you have to be? And when I say soldier, I'm not just talking about the man now, because the warfare is in the house, meaning what? Anyone that comes into this word is a soldier of the Most High. So what kind of soldier do you have to be? Read on.
Okay. 37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
That's the kind of soldier that you have to be. Now that might sound strange to some people. That does sound away when you say, wait a minute, I gotta love my Savior more than my mother and my father. Yes. The Lord tells you what? Honor your mother and your father. But here he's also telling you that what? He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. So now you got to meditate on that. Because remember, we're talking about what? Warfare in the household. That's why you got to meditate on that and ask yourself, what does it mean? Read on, my brother.
Okay. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Not worthy of me. Why? Because Christ, Yahushua, gave his life on the cross for us, on the tree for us. What are you going to sacrifice? If you're in this word, and your mother, your father, your daughter, your precious sons that you love so much don't want to be in this world, what do? Do you turn your back on the Most High? Do you turn your back on Christ? That's what it's talking about. That's the kind of soldier that the Most High is looking for today, my brothers and sisters. It's not a battle in a war in the field with guns and knives and all that. It's talking about spiritual warfare in the household, which involves what? A lot of emotions, because you're close to these people. And when they turn their backs on the Most High, or they don't want to go with the program, they don't want to go with what the Most High has put in place to be in terms of his laws, when they don't want to follow the Sabbath, my brothers and sisters, when they don't want to stop keeping Christmas, my brothers and sisters, that's what it's talking about. That's where the warfare comes in. The difference in opinion, the different ways that people view this book. And it goes much further than that. We're going to get into that today, my brothers and sisters. Read on.
38. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me.
They're not worthy of him, because why? You don't have a problem and say, I'm going to go solve it, then I'll follow Christ. Then I'll go after the Most High. No, this is saying what? He that taketh not his cross or his problems, his burdens, whatever is ailing him or her, and followeth after me is not worthy of me. Meaning what? In the midst of your issues, problems, dilemmas, that's when you have to follow the Most High. You can't take time off, because if you do it, then guess what? You're not worthy of the Most High. You are not worthy of the Most High if you don't follow him when you're at your worst, is what the scriptures are saying. It's not about taking time off. It's not about saying, let me find myself first. Let me solve this problem first. Then I'll come to the Most High and to his word. That's not what it's talking about. It says what? And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. So that's the prescription. That's what the Most High has given us to do in this war. And it's a totally different kind of war. Now that we've read these few words, you should see that it's a totally different kind of war, because in the beginning, the war involved soldiers, male soldiers, and they had to be a certain age, and there were certain stipulations, there were certain requirements for them to fight. Matter of fact, let's go into that real quick, then we're going to come back to this. Let's go to the book of Numbers chapter 1, because Numbers chapter 1 is going to give us some detail on what kind of a man you had to be to fight for the Most High, what kind of soldier you had to be, what were the requirements of the battle. And you'll see that from back then, the Most High was training us to be soldiers, to be warriors, to fight for him. Numbers chapter 1, you can start at verse 1.
Okay, Numbers 1 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they came out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls.
Now they counted by the families, the house of their fathers. And this is here very important. I'm reading the second verse again. Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, meaning their tribes, right? By the house of their fathers, meaning what? It's done by the father's line. The father's line, not by the mother's line. Okay. With the number of their names, every what? Male by their polls. Read on, my brother.
Okay. 3. From 20 years old and upward.
From 20 years up and upward. So 2 requirements so far. You had to be a male to be a soldier in the army of the Most High. Okay. Then you had to be what? 20 years and up. You couldn't be 18, 19, anything younger than 20. 20 years up. The Most High made these requirements for a reason. And if you look at how the army in the world, how they do things is very similar, except for they don't follow that only male thing, which is a part of their mistake. Okay, the Most High knows what he was doing. Read.
All that are able to go forth to war.
Right.
In
so
Israel.
All that are able to go forth to war in Israel, meaning what? You had to be a male, 20 years and up, but you had to be able-bodied. You had to be able-bodied. You couldn't be a person that had a limp. Okay, you couldn't be a person that your vision wasn't right. Okay, you couldn't be. We're going to find other requirements. Read on.
Thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies.
The Most High was creating an army, and when you read the scriptures, it says what? 600,000 men left out of Egypt, but it says the army left out of Egypt, right? So this is what? This is refining that now. This is refining it to be a war machine for the Most High. Read on.
Okay, 4. And with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. And these are the names of the men that shall stand with you. Okay,
so now it's going to go into the names of the men, and we're not going to read the names of the men right now, but very important, it says the name of the men. The Most High's army had to be male, 20 years old and up. Okay, able-bodied. Okay, 3 requirements so far. 3 requirements so far. And remember, this is not just coming from Moses and Aaron. This is coming from the Most High by way of the mouthpiece of Moses and Aaron. Okay, so don't think that this is some sort of thing that we made up. This is no chauvinistic type thing where we're excluding women. This was how the Most High created and organized his army, the army of the Most High. So let's leave there real quick and go to let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 1. And remember this: the Most High knows best. The Most High knows best, and there's logical reasons why the Most High did not have females in the army. Because why? He created them to be over the household. He created them to teach the children, bear the children, keep the house. That's nothing small to laugh at. Okay, that's a job within itself. But that's a job that was created for the women, the females. So the Most High created them, like it says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, male and female, but then he gave them roles. Today, these roles are laughed at, they're scorned. Okay, if you say something like this today, they say you're a chauvinist. Okay, you got something against women. Nah, it's not you have something against women. You have the mind of the Most High. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 1.
Deuteronomy 20 and verse 1. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots, and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them.
Stop. So the requirements so far are male, 20 years and up. Okay, able body. And what else? Number 4, you cannot have fear. To be a soldier of the Most High, you cannot have fear. You must be a male, 20 years and up. Okay, you must be able body. But the 4th requirement is very important. You cannot have fear. You, as a soldier of the Most High, cannot have fear. So it says, when thou goest out to battle against thy enemies and seest horses and chariots and the people more than thou, meaning what? You're gonna come out with your 100,000 and they're gonna come out with their 1,000,000-man army, right? Or you might come out with your 1,000, 10,000, they got 100,000, right? But if you read our history, the Most High always set it up like that. He always made sure that there were more numbers amongst our enemies than us. But there's a reason why he did that, and that reason is that he was trying to show us not to have fear. He says, what? When thou goest to battle against thy enemies and see horses and chariots and the people more than thou, be not afraid of them. Read on.
For the Lord thy power is with thee.
That's the next requirement that we sleep on that. That's a requirement that we can read right over. That's just what it says. No, that's a requirement. Listen, man, this is how the Most High set up his army. You got to be male, 20 years and up, able body. Okay? You cannot have fear. And you must understand that the Most High, Yahweh, your creator, is in your army. He's in your army. He says, what? Be not afraid of them, for Yahweh thy power is with thee. Read on.
Okay. Which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Is the Most High, let's call it what they call it in the world, is God in the armies today? Is it taught? Is it preached? A lot of soldiers pray on their own, especially when they think they might lose their lives, especially when they think they might not get back home. They pray on their own, but is the Most High emphasized? Okay, your uniform is emphasized, your clothing, your weaponry is emphasized. Okay, your enemies emphasized. All of that stuff is emphasized in the army today, but are they teaching these people that the Most High is in the army? Are they teaching them that that's how you win? No. And that's why the armies of the world today are nonsense. Okay, that's why you have a lot of chaos in the armies today. That's why you have, not only do they have females in the armies, which should not be, they have homosexuals, they have lesbians, they have people that are not able-bodied in the army. Okay, but we're here to show you what kind of soldier you need to be, okay, to be in the Most High's army. Read on.
Verse 2, and it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people.
Now, this is something else that you're not going to hear about in the armies today. And, for a while, even the other nations did this. They kept ministers with them, priests and so forth, and they would be a part of speaking to the men in the army, men and women in the army. But this here is saying, read that again.
Okay. And I'm slacking.
It's okay.
And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people.
Go ahead.
Okay, 3. And shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto the battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them.
You see, and do you realize how many times he emphasized what? Do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. That's very important. Very important in warfare. If you have a man that's of a fearful heart, should not be in the army. He's going to cost you lives. Okay? He's going to cause you to lose the battle. All right? So that's why he says what? Faint not, fear not, do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. Read on.
Okay. Verse 4. For the Lord your power is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you.
But you're not going to see the Most High in uniform. You're not going to see the Most High standing there with a gun. So what is it? What is the necessity to be a soldier of the Most High? We know the age, we know the gender, but do you know that it requires faith to be a soldier of the Most High? Because he's saying, don't be afraid, even if there are more soldiers than you, more of your enemies than you. Do you know that it requires faith to be a soldier of the Most High? Yes, it does. That's what it's trying to show you. Read on.
Okay, verse 5. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, what man is there that hath built a new house?
Now, these are some more of the requirements and how the Most High put his army together, the composition of the army, what it requires, how the Most High selected his soldiers. There's a weeding out process, okay? And like I said, you had to be a male 20 years and up, you had to be able-bodied, okay? All of these things are requirements. Now, what we're about to read again are some more requirements. Start at the top of 5.
Verse 5. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, what man is there that hath built a new house and hath not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it.
That's wisdom right there. And you might say, well, what is the big deal? What is the difference? Because that's how the Most High is, number one. But number two, what is this man gonna be thinking about when he's on the battlefield? He's just built his house, never lived in the house, never dedicated in the house, but he's got enemies in front of him. You know what he's gonna be doing? Instead of seeing the enemies, he's gonna be seeing his big house. And that big house gonna start shooting at him and everybody else.
Right.
And he ain't gonna even touch the trigger of the gun. You understand what I'm saying? So the Most High said, now you go back home and dedicate your house and live in there for a while. Okay? It's a weeding out process and it makes sense. Read on.
Okay. 6. And what man is he that had planted a vineyard and had not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it.
That's simple wisdom. But it also, while it looks like just words on a page, it has a lot to do with the psyche. To be a soldier of the Most High, you had to be what? Focused.
Focus. Yeah.
Alert. You had, your mind had to be on the battle and nothing else. Not your house, not your vineyard, nothing else. Read on.
Okay. 7. And what man is there that hath betrothed a wife and had not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle and another man take her.
Because again, this man's gonna be thinking about his wife, his beautiful wife that he's engaged to or married to, but has not laid with her. He's gonna be thinking about her. He's gonna be looking at the enemy, but seeing her face. And while he's seeing her face, the enemy's shooting at him and everybody else. You understand? So there's a weeding out process that has a lot to do with the psyche. You've seen words on the paper, but you're not realizing it's all about the man's mind, mentality, and psyche. What is he thinking about? Is he focused on the war? Is he alert? Is he thinking about what he's supposed to do to protect himself and the rest of the army? Where is his mind? Back in the house that he just built? Back in the vineyard that he just planted and never tasted of? Or thinking about his precious wife that he's engaged to or married to, but has never laid with, and another man is going to just come and take her when he's dead on the battlefield, right? He's not thinking about that war. He's not a soldier of the Most High. He's not fit in that kind of mind state. Now, later on, after he's done all those things, lived in his house, ate of his vineyard, laid with his wife, maybe even made children, and he's secure and he's happy. Later on, maybe he could join the army, but before these things, nah, it doesn't make sense. Read on.
Number 8, verse 8. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted?
Why are we talking about this again? Why are they asking this question again? Because it's one of the most important requirements to be a soldier of the Most High. You cannot have fear. You cannot be a fearful, faint-hearted man and be a soldier of the Most High. You're going to fail everybody else. Not only are you going to die, you're going to cause other people to die. So you cannot be a fearful man and be in the army of the Most High. You cannot be a soldier of the Most High and be fearful. So when we say, when the title of this class is Who and What is a soldier of the Most High. This is what we're talking about. Now you got to ask yourself a question. Do you fall in any one of these categories? And now some of these categories you might fall in, but I'm going to tell you like this. You're still going to have to be a soldier of the Most High. In this world, in this spiritual warfare, you're still going to have to be a soldier of the Most High. Back then, it was done because conditions were different. They were fighting physical warfare on a physical battlefield. They saw their enemies, and they knew that they had to defeat the enemies. You're fighting spiritual warfare, which does not require a battlefield, does not require a start and stop date, okay? Does not require a flag that says point here or shoot here. You're fighting spiritual warfare, which is a continuous 24 cycled war. So it's a little bit different, okay? But nonetheless, we keep talking about fear and being faint-hearted. Is that something that's still required in today's soldier, to be a soldier of the Most High? Let's read on from the top. 8.
Okay, verse 8. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brother's heart faint as well as his heart.
Now that last precept means a lot. It says, let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. Meaning what? You're a fearful man. You will spread fear all throughout the whole army. You will defeat the army of all those men that came there brave. You shake and you tell them, what if we die? There's only 10,000 of us. There's 100,000 of them. We can't do this, man. Okay, you're gonna spread all that fear throughout the whole army, and what's gonna happen? Like it says in the last precept, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. But are you doing that today, my brothers and sisters? That's the question. Are you spreading fear to your brothers and your sisters today by being faint-hearted, by being insecure, by not being certified and sure in the word of the Most High, what he's saying he's going to do? Because remember, it tells you that the Most High is in the army of Israel. Is the Most High still in our army? Of course he is. Yes, he is. The Most High is the host of the battle. Even though this battle is not a specific battlefield, location, or place, even though this battle is 24 hours, even though this battle is everywhere and anywhere you are, the Most High is still in this battle with you. And that's the point that you have to understand. That's how you overcome your fears, my brothers and sisters, because we're all soldiers in this. It's not just the men now, okay? The whole family's involved because the battle moved from the battlefield into your house. We read that. So everybody's a soldier of the Most High now. So whether or not you were faint-hearted in the past or you are today, you're going to have to get over that. But the way you get over that, it's not just simple for me to say get over that and then move on. No, the way you get over that, my brothers and sisters, this prescription, the way that it's done is by acknowledging and becoming more aware that the Most High not only is in the battle with you, but has always been in the battle with you. You might not have recognized him or acknowledged him, but he's always been in the battle with you from day one. The Most High has saved you, redeemed you many times. So what you need to do now is reflect. Remember how many times you were in a dangerous prediction, maybe lost a job, got sick or whatever, and the Most High saved you. Now, you might have thought it might have been your medication that saved you when you were sick. You might have thought you got lucky, got a new job. No, that's the Most High, brothers and sisters, that's doing that to you. So when you apply the Most High to your life, not only would it make more sense, it's going to move that fear out of you. You become more of a man now, more of a woman now. You become more of what? A soldier of the Most High. Let's move from here and let's go to the book of, matter of fact, let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 2. Let's go back to the book of, stay in Deuteronomy 20. Go back to verse 2.
Deuteronomy 20, verse 2. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priests shall approach and speak unto the people.
And who are the priests today? We're the priests, my brothers and sisters. We are the priests. Okay? The brothers that's in the camps are the priests. The brothers teaching on the Sabbath, they're the priests. What do? You speak to your people as the priests, meaning what? You're going to use the words of the Most High to help them in this battle. That's your job. That's why you're a teacher. Okay? That is what you're supposed to do. That's why I went back to the scripture, because I don't want to skip over anything. We're not dealing with the Levites today. Okay? We're not dealing with how the Levites used to be with us in our armies, and how they used to blow the horns and so forth, how they used to teach the word, so forth, how they used to encourage the men, so forth. Now we're dealing with every able-bodied male in Israel. You're a teacher. You're a priest of the Most High. You're a warrior of the Most High. You are a soldier of the Most High. Not just in the camp, my brothers and sisters. Don't make that mistake. In your homes, okay? Wherever you are, whoever needs this word, that's who you speak to and build up. That's who you speak to and let him become a soldier like you. Okay, so that is who a soldier is in the army of the Most High. This is what's required to be a soldier in the army of the Most High. Let's move from here. Let's go to the book of, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23. But before we go to Deuteronomy 23, I just want to reference again the fact that the reason why it matters if you're just married or if you planted a vineyard is because, once again, you have to remember, you have to be focused. Okay, you don't want nothing taking you off the agenda, the battle, and where we're supposed to be going, what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, there's many distractions out here, and as soldiers of the Most High, in the army of the Most High, fighting the battle of the Most High, we have to find our ways. We have to find ways to rid our minds of the distractions. We have to find ways to focus on the Most High and what's going on. Now, a lot of things are going on around us, amongst us, and they can become very personal. They can become very involving. But nonetheless, you have to find a way to focus. The Most High has shown you all the things that might have caused you to not concentrate before. All the things that might have, become a distraction to you. Okay, might have been your house, might have been your new wife, might have been your vineyard, might have been what? The money you're making, the car you're driving, the past that you had. All of these things might have been something that made you distracted today. Yes, in the past, but today you can't use that. Today you got to find a way to balance that, not give up on the family and just speak the word. No, that doesn't make sense, because you're not doing your job then. But not just to stay with the family and not speak the word, then you're still not doing your job. Okay, you have to find a balance. You have to find a medium. You have to find a way within the word of the Most High to do both. Okay, that is what a soldier of the Most High is. And listen, this kind of war is not a war where, like I said, you're in the presence of a military and somebody's going to be teaching you and telling you every day. A lot of times you're at home, you're on your own, you're on the job, you're not amongst brethren. But nonetheless, you have to stay within this word. Stay within this word and you'll do the will of the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 9.
Deuteronomy 23 and verse 9. When the host goeth forth against thine enemies.
Now, this is more requirements to be a soldier of the Most High. It was back then, but you're going to find out that it's still the same today. Okay, still the same today. Top of 9 again.
When the host,
meaning the army, read on,
goeth forth against thine enemies, then keep thee from every wicked thing.
As a soldier of the Most High, in this battle that you're fighting for the Most High, keep thee from every wicked thing. This was the requirements of the soldiers of the past. Okay, but guess what? It's still a requirement today. It says what? Keep thee from every wicked thing. Meaning what? All the wicked things of the world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, soldiers of the army today, when they go abroad, when they go to different countries, they've involved themselves with every wicked thing that nation has.
Mm-hmm.
Unclean foods, number 1. Okay. Unclean people, number 2. Okay. Unclean worship. And even in the past, our brothers did that. When they would go to the different countries like Syria, like Assyria, like Babylon, and all these places, when we would go there and fight the enemies, and a lot of times defeating the enemies, what would we do? Look for their idols. You even had kings that did that. You had kings that were so excited about the beautiful idols that they found in the lands of the enemies that they defeated, that they would send home the dimensions of the idol and how it looks and how to build it. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You defeated that enemy, right? But nonetheless, scripture says what? When the host of the army goeth forth against the enemy, thine enemies, then keep thee from every wicked thing. Read on.
Verse 10. If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness, that chases him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp.
So we're talking about what? Nocturnal emissions. We're talking about wet dreams. We're talking about things that happen to men at night. There are demons out there that do this, because it does use the word chanceth, right? If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness, that chanceth him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp. Meaning what? He's not clean, but he's not clean not by his doing. Okay, this is something that happens at night that's been happening from the past. And if we're reading it in the book of Deuteronomy, it's telling you that it's been happening from way back then, but it still happens now. Okay, and the reason why we're reading this is because we have to remember uncleanness is a thing that if you don't deal with it correctly in the proper way that the Most High says, the recipe or the prescription on how to deal with it, then you're going to mess up the whole camp. There's a reason why he was put out of the camp, because if he's unclean, what happens? Everything that he touches becomes unclean. Meaning what? If you have uncleanness in you, my brothers and sisters, as a soldier of the Most High, you have to know when to keep yourself away from the rest of the soldiers, the army. Very important. We're not just talking about nocturnal emissions, okay? But we're also talking about anything that makes you unclean. Now, don't let Satan use that as a tool to keep you away from the family, okay? Don't forsake the assembly. Don't do that. That's not what we're talking about, because then you might find yourself out for months, right? And that's nothing but the tricks of Satan. No, that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about you searching within yourself to see if there's any uncleanness that might not only make you unclean, but the rest of the congregation. Okay, now that might mean that there are things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, that you need to stop doing. Okay, but don't let it be something that's in your mind that you're doing that keeps you from the congregation, because that's a fight that we all fight. Don't let Satan use that as a reason for don't go there. Your mind ain't right, brother. You still think about X, Y, and Z. You're gonna mess everybody up. No, just don't do like the fearful man and spread it amongst everybody else. Everybody got that? Okay, let's read on.
11. But it shall be when evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come unto the camp again.
And the reason I'm saying that is because remember, we just read in Matthew 5. Let's go to Matthew 5 again. And the reason I want to clarify what I just said, the reason I said that, is some brothers might think I'm incorrect, is when you go to Matthew 5 again and you go to verse, what's that, Matthew 5? I'll take your cross and follow me. Matthew's. Hold on one second. Let's go to Matthew's chapter. Give me 1 second. Okay, go to verse. Matthew 10:38. Because you got to understand, you can't let Satan use you or use your mind to the point where you're now not being with the congregation. So Matthew 10:38 says this.
Matthew 10, verse 38. And he that taketh not his cross.
Meaning what? His burdens, his problems, whatever's ailing him. Read on.
And followeth after me is not worthy of me.
Exactly. So what we read about in the book of Deuteronomy is talking about physically being unclean. So if you're physically unclean through nocturnal emissions or whatever might happen to you, yes, you stay away until you're clean. Understand that. And it's very simple. If you're unclean Thursday night, Thursday during the day. Friday, if you're clean, Friday during the day. When the sun goes down on Friday, you're clean. You just have to wash yourself. Remember that. So you got to know the rules. That's talking about physical uncleanness. But when you're unclean because of what? Thoughts and things that you're trying to rectify in your mind, that's not what it's talking about. That's why it says, 38 again.
Okay, 38. And he that taketh not his cross,
meaning your problems, your burdens, whatever you're going through in your mind, read on.
And followeth after me, is not worthy of me.
Exactly. You can't say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm not right. I'm still doing this. Some of you might be out there still smoking on the low. Okay. A lot of us might be there on the low lusting. Well, do you say to yourself, I'm going to get right and then I'm going to come? Nah, that's not what it's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What it's talking about is picking up your cross or your burdens and following the Most High. But if you're physically unclean, yes, you stay away. Okay, but again, don't forsake the assembly. Let's go now back to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23. Just had to correct that so people don't think that I'm going off. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 23. You were
left up at 11.
Read on.
Okay, verse 11. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 11. But it shall be when evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come unto the camp again.
Right, you're supposed to come to the camp again if you're clean. Okay, physically clean. Okay, you understand what that means. If when you're clean before sundown or by sundown, you're good. But if you got problems and mental issues and emotional issues, that's not what it's talking about. Those issues, you come into the camp and you get the help that you need. You get the word. Okay, read on.
Verse 12, thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whether thou shalt go forth abroad.
So this is another requirement for the soldiers and the army of the Most High. Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whether thou shalt go forth abroad, to ease yourself, to defecate, okay? To do all that you got to do to take care of what comes out of your body. And read on.
Okay. Verse 13. And thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon.
Every soldier in the army of the Most High was required to have a paddle upon his weapon. Read on.
And it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back the cover that which cover from thee. Now,
I want you to just picture this. Animals do that. Dogs do that. When they defecate, you see them turn to their back, hind legs, and they'll spread dirt on it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the Most High is saying, man, listen, be clean in the camp where you are. You can't have excrement and all these things just all over the place, smelling, and it's nasty. There's a reason why. Because you get to be a soldier of the Most High, you have to be of a certain mind. Okay, and the most important thing, okay, right under fear, is that you have to understand that the Most High was going to be your warrior. He's in the camp. Okay, not talking about today's army. You're talking about the army of the Most High back then and today. The Most High is in the camp. You got to understand that. So there are requirements for that. Read on.
14, verse 14. For the Lord thy power walketh in the midst of thy camp.
That's why you have to be clean, and you have to when you ease yourself, or when you're defecated and so forth, you have to dig a hole within a certain area outside of the camp, and you have to cover it so that nobody else can walk on it, and cover it so you can't smell it. But it had to be outside of the camp. And the reason why, because it says, for the Yahweh thy power walketh in the midst of thy camp. The Most High is in the army. That's why the priests and the other men had to emphasize to the people, look, don't be afraid, because the Most High is actually here with us to win the battle. Read on.
To deliver thee and to give up thine enemies before thee.
Read.
Therefore shall thy camp be holy.
Read.
That he see no unclean thing in thee, and turn away from thee.
Exactly. So we have to be clean. Back then we had to be clean, not just for the individual, but for the whole army. Today we have to be clean, not just for the individual, for the whole camp, my brothers and sisters. We have to be clean. Okay. But again, I'm trying to explain to you, cleanness is talking about a physical thing. physically be clean. Not only should you, make sure you're not, clean by way of what happens at night, but make sure you smell good, man. Make sure you look good. Okay, don't come up in here like you just came from the gym or the gym just dropped on you. Okay, you want to make sure you look good, you smell good. Why? Again, the Most High is in the camp.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand that.
God.
The Most High is in the camp. What do we come here for? We come here to worship the Most High together as a body, as a congregation. And what are we doing? We are calling the Spirit of the Most High as we worship and read His Word. Okay, so you got same thing applies. Be clean, smell good, look good. Comb your hair. Okay, comb your hair, man. If you can't comb your hair, wash it and put on the mitri.
God.
You understand what I'm saying? Read on.
Okay. Verse 15. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master.
Let's skip from there. We're gonna come back to here because there's more requirements. But let's leave from here. Let's go to you read 12. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Before we go, let's go to Exodus 15:3. Let's go to Exodus 15:3. Very important scripture. Very important scripture. Because people today might not know this, they might understand, they might not guess, they might even not want this right here. They might not want no parts of this right here. But it's something that you got to learn. Okay, and for those that have not learned, you've been lied to. Okay, for those that don't know, you have been deceived. Exodus 15:3.
Exodus 15 and verse 3. The Lord is a man of war.
Read that again, man.
The Lord is a man of war.
Adawan Yahweh is what? A man of war. And if you haven't been worshiping him, and you've been worshiping him some little shy guy, some little soft guy, some puff guy, okay, some anything goes guy. No, you got that wrong, man. Read that again.
Okay. Exodus 15:3. The Lord is a man of war.
Meaning the creator of the universe. So when I say use the word God, I'm only applying it to the little simple gods they got today. The Christmas God, okay? The Valentine's God, okay? The God that allows homosexuals to get married. That's not the Most High. That's not the Most High. You got lesbians, you marry lesbians, and you're not dealing with the Most High. When you say in the name of the Most, no, you're not dealing with him, man. By the power vested in me. From who? Not the Most High that said, what? Read that again.
The Lord is a man of war.
The warrior power of the scripture is not going to marry two men or allow two men to get married. If your minister, rabbi, reverend is a daggone sodomite himself, talking about he's allowed to marry you because the power vested in him from who? Satan, my brothers and sisters. That's only Satan. Okay, so if that's the little guy you're talking about that you worship, that's you worshiping Satan. You got nothing to do with the Most High, because the power I worship and the power that created the universe and everything in it is what? A man of war. Read the rest.
The Lord is his name.
That's right. The Adawan Yahweh is his name, the true power. You might be worshiping Saint Christopher, Saint Lazarus, or one of them dudes. Okay, Saint Mary, the mother of God, and all that foolishness, but you're not worshiping the Most High. Okay, but the true power is a man of war, and he will go to war with you. Let's leave from there. Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 32, verse 25. Exodus 32, verse 25. We can see the Most High went to war with us as a people when we did wrong. When we did wrong, the Most High went to war with us. Because what? He is in the army. He's the host of the army. Okay? So you got to understand, you've been lied to, you've been deceived, you've been taught lies all your life. From Sunday school upwards, you've been taught lies all your life.
God.
And you love that thing. Because then it allows you to celebrate Easter and Thanksgiving and that Christmas and eat holiday cake and all of that. Have a big old Christmas tree up in your church. Okay, you got a big old Christmas tree in your church. Your church is a lie. Your minister is a liar, and you're deceived, and you love to have it that way, right? You love to have it that way because you feel good. We could buy Christmas gifts and all of that good stuff, right? You've been lied to, and you're going to lie your way into the fiery pit. All right, so if you love lies, well, lies going to be your downfall. We're in the book of Exodus chapter 23.
Exodus 32.
32, my brother. Sorry about that. 32, 25. Read that.
Exodus 32, verse 25. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked.
Just to give you some background, this is when we just came out of Egypt, And Moses was gone up in the mountain speaking with the Most High for 40 days and 40 nights and so forth. And the people decided, well, you know what? We don't see that Moses. Let's build us a calf like we saw in Egypt. Let's do that. Let's worship that calf because that's what brought us out here. Read that again.
Okay. Exodus 32, verse 25. And when Moses saw that the people were naked.
What does it mean to be naked?
Sin.
Sinned. Sinned. And what happens when you're naked? Read on.
For Aaron had made them naked unto their shame.
Stop. Aaron made them naked unto their shame. When you're naked, remember this, you have sinned. Just like Adam and Eve, when they sinned, they were what? They thought they was naked.
Mm-hmm.
That's all allegory, my brothers and sisters.
God.
Okay, you got to come to the understanding of it. You got to get to that meat. Okay? Every time you see a picture of Adam and Eve, they're running around naked. You ain't got no understanding. None. And if you did, you probably wouldn't get it anyway. Probably trip right over it.
God.
Okay, so for Aaron had made them naked because Aaron, he got cute and said, oh, they gave me gold and I threw it in the fire and this calf just came out. It just came out, I had nothing to do with it.
No way.
Right? Read on.
Okay. For Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies.
Among their enemies. Read.
Okay. 26. And Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him.
Now we went here just for an example of, the Most High is not a little funny guy, some little easy guy that, you worship on Sunday. Easy like Sunday, right? That's not the Most High. We're going to show you an example of the Most High, who is what? A man of war, man. Mm-hmm. We're going to show you an example of that. Read on.
Okay. 27. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, put every man his sword by his side.
Talking to the Levites, read on.
And go in and out from the gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother.
Do what?
And slay every man his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And every man his companion, and every man his neighbor.
Now, you might say this is Moses' word, right? But you got to realize this is the Most High speaking. And he said unto them, thus saith the who? The Adawan, the Yahweh. You want to call him God. I'm going to call him Adawan. The word Adawan, power. The word Lord is Adawan. And the word power, the word God, I should say, is power. Okay, so the Adawan Yahweh of Israel. This is the Most High speaking. Say what? Put every man his sword by his side. That's the commandment he gave the Levites. And go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp and do what? Slay. What does slay mean? Kill. Is that your God? Your God wouldn't say something like that, right? Now you might say this is the Old Testament God. That's where you're wrong again. They like to teach that too. That's not what it's talking about. Because when you go to Revelation, the same language is being used just with other words.
God.
Other words, right? Slay every man his brother and do what?
And every man his companion.
Stop. What does that mean, his companion? You got to kill your friend, man. That's what your companion is, your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife or your friend. Okay? And slay every man his brother and every man his companion. Understand that. Meaning what? People that are close to you, that are what? Sinful, and are sinning. They're not on the side of the Most High. That's why in verse 26, it says, 26, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who's on the other one side? Mm-hmm. Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves unto him. So when Moses said that, everybody that gathered themselves unto Moses, they was cool. You wasn't getting killed that day. Okay, but those that were not, they were slayed. And as a soldier, that's what I'm trying to show you. As a soldier in the Most High's army, these men, the Levites, had to go and slay all those that were of their people. First of all, you got to get that, of their own people in their own camp. Okay? Do you have the heart to do that? Do you have the heart to do that as a soldier of the Most High? We're not telling you today, go kill nobody. That's not what it's about. This is spiritual warfare we're dealing with today. But back then, it was physical warfare. Read on.
And every man, his neighbor.
And every man. So in other words, it's people you know. It's not strangers. But the Most High gave the commandment that, look, man, If they're going to do something else and go against me, they got to go. And he gave the ultimate command to the Levites, go and slay every man his brother and his companion and every man his neighbor. Not an easy task, but this is who the Most High is, number one, and this is the kind of soldier, number two, that the Most High requires. That's why I said, those who love mother or father or daughter more than me are not worthy of me. That's what it's talking about. It's all the same thing. It comes right back here. This is what the Levites had to do. Do you have the heart to do that? Now, today, you're not being given the commandment, suggestion, or anything else that says go out there and physically kill, hurt, or harm anybody in your family or outside of your house, outside of your race. We're not telling you, and we're not trying to influence you to go out there and do none of that. That's not what this is about. This is the lesson of what type of power the Most High is, what type of man the Most High requires. You ain't got to put your hands on nobody. If you disagree with them, their philosophy, their religion, whatever, you ain't got to touch them. Not physically, my brothers and sisters. You touch them with the word. If a man is doing something wrong against the law of the Most High, you open up the word of the Most High and show him that. This is how you touch him. Now, you ain't got to put your hands on him. Put your hands on his book, on the Most High's book, on his word, and that's how you touch them. If they walk away, let them walk away. If they want to argue, listen to the argument for a while, apply the word again. If they are in strict denial, if they don't agree with you, you walk away. You walk away, man. You ain't got to fight nobody. You ain't got to kill nobody. Okay, because why? The spirit has not touched that person yet. The scripture says what? One watereth, one planteth, I should say. One planteth, one watereth, but the Most High gives the increase. You ain't got to fight nobody to be a soldier of the Most High. If they don't want to be, they don't want to be, man. If they don't want to believe, let them be. That's you, because that might be you for now. That might have been me before. Because back in the days when I was a 5%er, Israelite brothers stood before me, spoke to me, teaching me this. And all I had to tell them was, well, according to the supreme alphabet, blah, 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 blah. Like a damn fool, I was telling them nonsense. You understand? But I didn't understand back then because the spirit didn't come to me yet. But the Most High was showing me in increments. And then finally, I came to the word. The Most High sent me in front of teachings where I didn't get it. I wasn't able to hear. I was trying to teach them. The Most High sent me a brother that I walked with for a couple miles. And he was teaching me the word. And I didn't understand. I knew he was an Israelite because my brother said, walk with this man. He's an Israelite. My brother's the same man that brought me into the 5% nation that said to me, I was going to the train station. He said, walk with this brother. He's an Israelite. I walked with the man, heard the man, went back and forth. We didn't argue, we spoke. That's the second time, right? And then the third time, the Most High sent me a brother that was living on my block, Brother Mata. Okay, in probably 90 or 91, came to me and taught me the word. So the Most High gave me 3 chances. I didn't get it to the third time. So you're not going to force nobody to believe in the Most High, man. That's not the way it works. So stop hitting your mom over the head with the word like that, brothers. Okay, you might knock her out, man. Your poor grandma, Ma, leave her alone. She want to eat her pork, and you know it's wrong, but you ain't gonna stop her like that. The spirit got to hit her, man. Okay, Uncle Joe and all the rest of them that don't want to do right, let them be. Your job is to warn and walk away, man. That's it. But you do it in a way that is humble. You don't knock them over the head and go crazy with them. That's not the way it works. That's not the way a soldier operates. And let's find out how a soldier is supposed to operate nowadays when teaching this word, because a lot of people don't know. They think you go out there like you go into camp. Okay, let's go to where is this? Galatians 6. Let's go to Galatians 6:1, because we're talking about who and what is a soldier of the Most High. We talked about the requirements. We talked about the conditions of war and how you react, how you respond. But now we're talking about how do you present the word to the people of the Most High. Let's go to Galatians 6:1 real quick. Read that.
Galatians 6 and verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault,
if a man is sinning or is sinful, read on.
Ye which are spiritual,
meaning what? You're dealing with the Most High and the Most High's law. Read on.
Restore such a one in the spirit of meekness,
by being humble. Don't take the word like a rock and knock them over the head with it. You're gonna believe today, man. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Because you're gonna make that man run away from the Most High, and that's not what the Most High wants you to do. That's not your job. And if you've been doing that, then you ain't been doing right. If nobody in your house talking to you, that's your fault. You come over there like you Moses, just part of the Red Sea, talk about, oh, y'all gonna listen to me up here today. That's not the way it works, man. That's not a soldier of the Most High. Soldier of the Most High. I'm gonna read it to you again. We'll do what? Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. Read on.
Considering thyself.
You must consider yourself first. And the reason why you're considering yourself soldier of the Most High is you want to consider, is this the battle for me? Before you go, before what you consider is your enemy, you must think, is this the battle for me? Is this the right time? Am I ready? Read on.
Lest thou also be tempted.
Lest thou also be tempted. Let's say you was a weed head back in the days. Straight up weed head, right? You got some cousins, they still weed heads. Are you fully recovered to go to the house and talk to them brothers right now? Or when you get there, will the aroma take you away? You walk in just like I was nice and cloudy up here with the frankincense and myrrh right now. You walk into the house and the aroma takes you away. All the familiar thoughts and feelings come back to you, and everybody walking around like this. You want something, man? You want some of this, son? He's talking about all that Bible stuff. Here, hold that. Will that take you away? That's why the Bible says, consider yourself first, man. To be a true soldier of the Most High, all these things apply. These are the tactics you need. Okay, that's why so many of you soldiers fall, because you didn't consider yourself. You wasn't ready. You're not always going to be ready. Okay, because some people, they good as long as they don't smell that thing, right? They smell that thing, things happen. You're like, dang, I missed that, man. I used to smoke banana rama or whatever you used to smoke, right? You got to consider yourself. That's very important. This is it's detriment to your staying alive in the word, not losing faith. Okay, because the minute you smell it, not only are you smelling that familiar aroma, Satan is there like, damn, don't you miss that, man? You don't miss that? Ain't nobody looking at you. Nobody from the congregation is here right now. Think you would smoke, man? Who gonna tell? Just change your clothes and take a bath before you go to class. All right, so let's leave here. But read verse 2.
Okay. Galatians 6 and verse 2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Yahushua.
Right.
Christ.
Now, look, these are all requirements of being a soldier of the Most High. We're going to come back here, but let's leave here for a minute, and let's go to Judges chapter 7, okay? Because we're still showing you the requirements of a soldier and what a soldier had to do, what steps he had to take, and what things he had to do. Now, we know some of the requirements. You have to be a male, 20 and upwards. You have to be an able-bodied man. We know all of that, okay? And one of the most important things we know is you couldn't be fearful. You could not be fearful, right?
God.
Also, we know and understand that the Most High is in the army of the soldiers of the Most High. We know that. We understand that. Let's read some more on that. Let's go to Judges chapter 7, verse 1.
Judges chapter 7 and verse 1. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early, and pitched beside the well of Haran, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Mori in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Medians into their hands, Salakia, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hand had saved me.
This is how the Most High usually does things, right? See, when we just came out of Egypt, the Most High was proving himself to us. When we were in Egypt, we were introduced and we saw on a daily basis all kind of so-called deities. They had a god for every day, every week, and everything else. Okay, Ra, Isis, all of these creatures. You understand? So we became inundated with these so-called deities and with the so-called power that they had. Okay, now Ra is supposed to be the sun god, right? So every day people would worship the sun god for the sun and the strength of the sun and the heat and all of that, right? But that was nonsense. So when we came out of Egypt, the Most High had to re-educate us. You understand? Re-educate us and tell us, look, I'm the one that created those things. So you worship me. You don't worship Isis and Ra and all of them. That's what the Most High was doing. So it's important that we understand that and we get that. So when it says at the end, let's read verse 2 again. And the other one said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves or get proud against me, saying, my own hand have saved me. The Most High wanted us to know for sure. Now, it wasn't you, man. You ain't do this. Okay, we'll read verse 3.
Verse 3. Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid.
I hear that come again. Hear that we've seen this thing again. Read it from the top.
Okay. Judges 7 and verse 3. Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead.
Now this is the Most High speaking to Jerubbaal, Gideon, telling them, look, man, there's too much of y'all here. You know, it's too much of y'all. Y'all gonna think y'all won this battle, and I don't want that. So first thing I want you to do, Gideon, is go to the people and say, look, any y'all afraid? Any y'all afraid out there? Y'all gonna be surprised. But remember, this is the requirement of the war, of being a soldier of the Most High. You cannot have fear. Okay, now something that does happen in war and warfare, men become afraid. Okay, that valiant warrior, that tough man, that tough guy, that real warrior that wants to prove himself, goes to war and might see, okay, there's, like I said, there's 10,000 of us, but it looks like about 100,000 of them, man. You understand? So you lose all that courage you had. This happens. Go ahead, my brother.
Like Goliath.
Exactly. Just perfect example. We saw the size and the width and the might of Goliath, and all the army of Israel was afraid that day. All of them, except for David, that came on the scene. You understand?
Right.
So why was David not afraid? Because the Most High's spirit was on him. Very important that we got to understand. It always goes back to the Most High. So in this situation, the Most High told Gideon, ask the people, is anybody afraid? If you're afraid, what? Depart from Mount Gilead this day. Early. Get up out of here, man. Early. I'm reading to you again. Now, therefore, go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him depart early from Mount Gilead. Read.
And there return of the people 22,000.
22,000 of them left out. Now we ain't down with that, man. Too much of them. Not enough for us. But they didn't see what the Most High was doing. The Most High was reducing the numbers because he had the power to defeat the enemy. So what 22,000 people, that was 22 soldiers, I should say, that was in that battle, went home that day early. We up out of here. We're not fighting all of them. They're going to kill us, right? But the Most High just didn't have his spirit on them because he wanted to be shown and seen as a true want to defeat the enemy. The Most High wanted to claim his fame. So Israel would understand it doesn't matter the number. If you're with me, you're a winner. Does that still stand today? Yes. If you're with the Most High, you are a winner because the Most High is going to fight your battles.
Come.
You might feel that you're all alone. Nobody understands. Nobody gets you. You might feel that whatever you're going through, you just can't explain to people. They don't feel the same way you feel. They don't get the true essence of your condition, your sickness, or whatever the case is. They might not understand why you can't keep a job, my brother. They might not understand why you fill out application after application and nobody calls you, or you get a job and you only work for 5 days, 5 months, whatever the case is. The Most High, when you let him into your life and become a soldier of the Most High, he will fight your battles. Read on.
And there remained 10,000.
There remained 10,000. 10,000. 22,000 went home. 10,000 remained. Read on.
Verse 4. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, they shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. Verse 5. So he brought down the people to the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, everyone that boweth down on one knee to drink. And the number of them that lap putteth their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knee and drank water. 7. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lap will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thy hand, and let all the other people go every man unto his place.
Because in a battle, to be a soldier of the Most High, not only did you have to be a certain age, a certain gender, and not only did you have to realize that the Most High was in the camp, which is very important. You couldn't have fear. You had to be what? Alert. You had to be alert. You had to be aware. So those that went down to the water, of the 10,000, the ones that fully immersed themselves into the water, okay, to drink, they couldn't see anything. If the enemy was coming to you, you so down there, you'd have lost your head and lost the battle, and everybody else would have been destroyed. But the ones that lapped the water like a dog does and still paying attention, they're still alert, they could still see the enemy. Most High said, those are the men I want. And of those men, was only 300. 300. So you cannot be a soldier of the Most High if you're not alert. So you have many distractions in front of you. You have many things that take you away from being a soldier or having the mindset of being a soldier. There are things that we put in our lives that distract us. Okay, there are things that we allow in our lives that distract us, take us away from the will of the Most High, the mission of the Most High, and what? The word of the Most High. Number one is that television, right? You let that television take us away, watching all kind of foolish programs, all kind of nonsense and reality shows and fake news and all kind of foolishness on television. Okay, you can't allow yourself to be that distracted. Yeah, you want some downtime. All of us do it. Nothing wrong with watching a little TV, watching a little news, or watching something educational, or just watching something that that you want to watch on TV. But don't let it consume you, man. Don't let it be your all in all. I can't get home. I can't wait till I get home. I got to watch Young and the Restless. some Ryan's Hope. I got to watch me some General Hospital. All right. I got to watch me 90210. I got to watch some Cribs or some nonsense. All right. Rap City, or back in the day stuff and all that. Okay. Or today it's more of these reality shows where these black people calling each other names and they fight every show. How many fights you need to see, man? Come on. You know, celebrities fighting each other, calling each other names and all of that. How many fights you need to see? That stuff is boring to me. Okay, but you don't realize that these people are acting because they want to stay on camera, because they want to continue to get paid. And what are they doing? Used by the devil to distract you. Okay, you can't do that, because when you do that, your mind isn't right. Because remember, what you watch is a little residue left in your mind from what you see on television. A little bit. The foolishness they talk about, what they do, how they dress, all of that, a little residue is left. So you got to put that away. Now that's a tool of Satan. Like I said, ain't nothing wrong with watching a little bit of this and that here and there. Make sure you're alert. Make sure you watch it. Like the scripture says, watch and pray, meaning watch the news, national as well as international. Okay, you want to watch programs that'll educate you. You want to watch programs that give you insight, broaden your horizons. Okay, not take you away from the Most High, but show you things that you didn't see before. You are able to now not necessarily have to physically go to places, but you can sit and watch in front of the television and be educated and be shown things that you would have not known. Okay, so taking those things. But nonetheless, the reason why we read about Gideon and the 30,000 men is because the Most High wants to show you, he's looking for people that are alert. You understand? To be a soldier of the Most High, you must be alert, knowing things around you. All right, so it's very important that you get that. Let's go to the book of 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Because remember, when you're, kind of like in the front of the television, doing your thing, all lost up in the world, something is going on, man, that you don't realize, that you let pass every day, like it's cool and all that. It's not cool. It's not cool in the gang and all of that, like we used to say back in the days, right? It's none of that. We let life pass us by like it's nothing. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8.
1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant.
Meaning what? Be clear-minded. Be clear-minded. Okay? That's what Peter's telling us. Go ahead.
Because
to be vigilant means to be ready. Read on.
Because your adversary, the devil.
Now you dead just chilling, watching Mr. Television, telling you lies every day. What's happening when you're watching Mr. Television? It says what? Read that again.
Okay. Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about.
Mr. Devil is sitting right next to you. He might have you one of them long couches, you in the middle. Mr. Satan's on your right, chilling. He watching TV with you. And as you watching these shows and these things that's going on, he's whispering in your ear, Dad, that was cool, right? Right? Check that out. Rewind that, man. You know what I'm saying? So you might have wanted to sit down for about an hour or so. Next thing you know, 4, 5, 6 hours pass. You and Satan on the couch, chilling, watching television. Right? How are you alert, man? How are you anywhere aware of what's going on in the world or with yourself or in your household? Remember, the enemies that you face today are in your household. How are you aware of them and what's going on? If you and Satan just chilling on the settee, on the couch, watching television, man, every day. You say, I don't see nobody next to me. That's all right. You ain't going to see him. You're going to hear him, though. You're going to hear him because he's going to make you lust. He's going to make you angry. He's going to do all kinds of things to you, just sitting right next to you, whispering in your ear. You understand what I'm saying? Let's read on.
Okay. Verse 9. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same affliction are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world.
So, first of all, as a soldier of the Most High, you must know how to resist the devil. And what's so hard about resisting the devil is that you cannot see the devil. What's so hard about resisting the devil is that when he comes to you, he doesn't come in a special voice like you see on TV. Like on TV, they'll make his voice harder. Don't do this. No, he gonna sound just like you, man. Your voice in your head, talking about, don't you miss some pork chops? You just saw that commercial for Spam about 20 times today. Don't you miss you some Spam? You ever notice that you watching TV, they just throwing that Spam at you like every day? As a man in the word, you're like, why? But you know why? They're trying to get you to go back into your habits. You understand?
Mm.
But that's why I say that that little medium, that TV, is very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I watch TV. I love me some news, but I watch other shows. But I see the foolishness that's going on, and I'm out. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. But like I said, everybody wants some downtime, and downtime is cool. But just Scripture says, be sober and be vigilant.
Con.
You understand? Because why? Verse 9 is very important, showing you that the devil, man, he's there right there with you on the couch, maybe on the bus, maybe laying in next to you in the bed. You understand? Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, precepts.
Go ahead.
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 15 and 33.
Read.
Be not deceived. Evil communication corrupt good manners.
Yes, sir. Read that again.
1 Corinthians 15 and 33. Be not deceived. Evil communication corrupt good manners.
Exactly. So that communication you get from the television, of course, it's going to corrupt you. It's going to infect you. It's going to influence you. It's going to influence you. We take it for granted. We take it like it's nothing. We take it light. But why do you think the people in the world and the people in our communities, the people where we live, and the people within our households behave the way they do today? You see, television is a form of witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that people are on the level to realize that. They take it very, 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 what's the word? They're too at ease.
Lightly.
They don't take it, they don't see the full potential of what it was originally composed to do or created to do. They try to sell you things on television, right? Because that's the kind of medium it is. That's the way it's used. But at the same time, it's a vehicle of distraction. It's a vehicle of casting spells. And casting spells is not like you see a witch on a broom or doing it with a pot. No, casting spells meaning one of the most effective ways of making people do things is repetition. You should know that by now. That's why you see that spam commercial every commercial. Do you realize that sometimes when you see a commercial and it repeats itself, you might say, "Oh, they made a mistake." No, they didn't play. There was no mistake. It was supposed to play twice. Commercial goes, stops, starts all over again, right? And you say that must have been a mistake. No, that wasn't a mistake. They're trying to get you. They paid to have that happen. That's casting a spell on you, leaving it in the back of your mind. Like they're gonna be advertising a certain kind of new sandwich, right? Every minute you see this commercial, everybody eating this Popeye sandwich, right? The newest thing, you got people, lines are long. He's standing on the line like a fool, okay? Because you just eating bread and chicken, man. Come on, bread and chicken, stop. You understand what I'm saying? What's so special about the bread and chicken? Oh, you got a secret sauce? Didn't what's his face? KFC Colonel, whatever his name is, have this special recipe way back in the 70s. That trick has been played on you, man. But for a minute there, everybody was standing on line outside of Popeyes waiting to get this special sandwich. I mean, that, my brothers, is witchcraft. That, my brothers. What's going on?
I was going to ask a question.
I thought y'all was trying to tell me
I
something.
just wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Especially TikTok.
Oh,
TikTok,
man.
that definitely is witchcraft.
Right. Go ahead, my sister. Fight it. Yeah. How you gonna fight over chicken and bread, man? You gonna fight over chicken and bread, man? Come on, man. Ain't no secret sauce or sauce that good. It's chicken and bread. But the problem is you didn't realize what happened. They bewitched you when you were watching TV and you saw the commercial for the sandwich, and you saw the sandwich on the news, and they told you, oh, it's the biggest thing out here. Everybody's trying to get this Popeye sandwich, and you gotta taste it. It tastes so different. It's chicken and bread. You understand what I'm saying? That's simple. But the craft that was used was that television. That witchcraft that was used was that television that appealed to you. You've seen it over and over again. And say next to you, say, man, I think it must taste good. You got to try that, man. You know what I'm saying? And then you say, okay, I forgot to stand online for 5, 10 minutes, half hour. I'll do it. Because Satan, your good buddy said, stand online, man. Don't worry about that thing. You want to taste that chicken? That's some chicken right there, right? But it says, going back to 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, it says what? Be sober, be clear-minded. Okay, when you're not clear-minded, It's almost as if you're inebriated, like you're drunk. And that's what television does to you. And we're not just talking about television, because television is just one medium. You got music, okay? You got advertising, okay? You got all kind of things that there are major distractions, and you cannot be distracted as a soldier. We just read that in the book of Gideon. You always got to be paying attention to what's going on around you, outside and inside your house, on the job and off the job, on the way home, all of that. Because why? This is not the kind of battle that's placed in one specific area. You're not on a specific battlefield. The battlefield is wherever you are. Okay? And who are they fighting? They're fighting you. Okay? Not just when you're in the congregation on the Shabbat, every day of the week. Be sober, what? Be vigilant. Be what? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. Okay, it's very important that we get that, because if we don't get that, we become casualties of war. Casualty of war is somebody that dies in war, on the battlefield or wherever their brigade is. Friendly fire or otherwise. That's what casualty of war is. You understand? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. A lot of us become casualties of war, meaning what? You're defeated by Satan without even knowing that Satan was aiming at you. Okay? You don't even realize that Satan was aiming at you the whole time, and now you're a casualty of war. You're a soldier that's been hit. You've been wounded, man, in the battle. No physical wounds necessarily, but what? Emotional wounds. Brothers that don't want to be amongst brothers anymore. Sisters that don't want to talk to each other anymore. Don't want to come to the congregation anymore. Don't want to read the word anymore, or say, you know what, I'm going to read it on my own. Okay? I'm going to go over here to this camp. Why? You're a casualty of war. You got people going from camp to camp. You are a casualty of war. You've been wounded. You have PTI. What do they call that thing? PTS, post-traumatic syndrome. You got that. In Israel, as soldiers of the Most High, you don't even know it. PTS, post-traumatic syndrome, does not just happen to the soldier that's on the battlefield. It happens to the spiritual soldier that's in this word, because you're affected by the darts of the devil. And the darts of the devil are many things. The darts of the devil comes in different ways, in different forms, different tactics. That could be words, that could be looks, that could be something that he brings to your mind as a memory, something you heard that people weren't even talking to you, and it affects you. People talk to you and you're affected by it. These are darts of Satan, the darts of the enemy. We're going to read about the darts in a minute. Okay, but a lot of us have PTS, post-traumatic syndrome, because we've been affected, we've been influenced by so many things. And after a while, you start to say, I'm not going to go to the congregation anymore. I'm not talking to the sisters. I'm not talking to the brothers. I'm just going to be by myself. That's impossible. You're not ever by yourself. Why? Satan is sitting right next to you, talking to you like, yeah, they wasn't right over there, man. They wasn't right. You were right. You're doing the right thing. You got the right belief. They wasn't right. You understand? Let's read on.
1 Corinthians 16 and 13. Watch ye, stand fast in the faith.
Now it says two very important things so far. Watch ye. Watch what's going on. Watch, because you're looking for changes. You're looking for what the enemy brings to you. You're looking for new ammunition. You're looking for new tactics. You're looking for things that don't belong. Okay? Watch ye, stand fast in the faith. Read on.
Quit you like men. Be strong.
Quit you like men. The things that you know are right, don't let them affect you. Quit you like men, like a man, not emotional. You're not a child, okay? You're not one that, so affected by emotions. That's why it says, quit you like men. What? Be strong. Things happen that you don't understand. Deal with it. Stay in the congregation and deal with it. Somebody affects you, it's the law. Somebody offends you, I should say. It's the law that you step to that man. If you find yourself stepping off, you're not strong, my brothers and sisters. You're being affected, and Satan is affecting you, and he's affecting you in the manner of which, using your own voice, your own wisdom that you have gathered to convince you that you're right and they're wrong. You've been to 10 congregations, but they're wrong and you're right. You got 10 more to go. So when you go to number 20, you're still going to be saying, I'm right and they're wrong. But you know what's going on? Satan is whispering in your ear and you don't even know it. The tactics of the devil are many. They're constant. They don't stop. Okay? Brothers and sisters, stop talking to each other. Leave the congregation. Leave the camp. Why? They're not doing like the scripture said to do. What are you going to do in the wilderness? You're going to say, I'm going back to America? There will be no America. I'm going back to my building, Lenox Avenue. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going back to Cali. I'm going back to the Bronx where I was from, my hood. I ain't dealing with you Israelites out here in the wilderness. Now, you ain't going to have that type of opportunity. You're not going to have a number 5 trained to take you out there. Okay? You got to get yourself right now because you're running. Why are you running? You're running because Satan put a bullet in your back, and that's why you're running. You understand? You don't even realize it. You're running without a cause. You're a rebel without a cause. If I got a problem with somebody up in here, I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm going to talk to that person. I'm going to talk to that person. I'm going to get it right. What did you mean by that, Ak? What did you mean? You said such and such, or I heard you said such and such. That's the law. That's the way a soldier functions. He faces his enemies. Where do you have ever heard that a soldier runs away from his enemies? That's a Benedict Arnold, right? You see your enemy, or what's become your enemy, what you perceive to be your enemy, you're running away from it. I'm not going to talk to him. Nah, I'm not going to deal with him no more. I'm not going to deal with her no more. How are you a soldier of the Most High? If the Most High has a problem with us, what does he do? He talks to us. He puts us in predicaments and situations so we get what he's trying to tell us. You understand? Go ahead, my brother.
I have a preset that sound like it match with what
you sure it matches? You want to think about it?
I can read it.
Go ahead.
Galatians 6:2.
Mm-hmm.
Bear ye
Okay.
one another burden,
Con.
and so fulfill the law of Christ.
Exactly. That's what. Beautiful job. Verse 1 says what? If you find this, if a brother's at fault, you got to speak to him humbly, right? We read that. Verse 2 says what? Bear you one another burdens. You're supposed to do that. So it means that now you got a problem, I got a problem. Your problem becomes my problem. Let's work it out. In other words, let's deal with it. Not run away from each other, man. That makes no sense. You're going to run away from your Yahushua? Because he might say something you don't like. What you going to do? When are you going to stop running? That's my question. Because soldiers don't run away from their enemies or what they perceive to be their enemies. Okay? Because you might have a problem with me today and you look at me as your enemy, but if you talk to me, we're good. Maybe I have to take low. If I was at fault, I'll say, my bad, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to do it that way. Or I might tell you, no, I didn't say that. Or I didn't say it that way. Whatever the case might be, but you will never know if you don't talk to me. Let's read on.
Okay. 1 Corinthians 16, verse 14. Let all things be done with charity.
Let all things be done with charity. Read it.
15.
Now read it again.
Oh, let all things be done with charity.
Because if you do it from the standpoint of charity, then that kindness that's in your heart will be what the Most High will see and bless you. So let all things be done with charity. It's talking about a soldier of the Most High. In his army, these are the requirements. You might not understand it, but I'm going to tell you something. When you see the word soldier and you see the word servant, it's the same thing. Because a soldier of the past, that had to be a male of 20 years and so forth, able-bodied. Yes, he was a soldier of the Most High, had to fit those requirements, but it's the same thing today. He's got to be a soldier of the Most High that's charitable, open to conversation, okay? Willing to fight that good fight, because the fight that we're fighting today is not on the battlefield, it's everywhere where we are. It's an emotional fight, a spiritual fight, all of that. But don't let carnal darts take you out of the word or take you away from your congregation or your people. Let's leave here and go to the book of Revelations. Let's go to Revelations 14 and 12, because we spoke about the requirements of the soldier of the past. And I keep going over the requirements because they made sense. That's the Most High's army. Okay? Aaron and Moses was sent to proclaim and tell the people, look, the men, in order to be a soldier, you have to be a male. 20 years and up. You have to be able-bodied. Okay? You have to not have fear. Okay? You have to remember and acknowledge that the Most High Yahweh was in your camp. These are the requirements of a soldier of the Most High.
God.
But now let's read Revelation 14 and 12. What does it say?
Revelation 14 and verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints.
What is it talking about? Here is the patience of the saints. Read that again.
Revelation 14 and verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints.
Mm-hmm.
Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahushua.
So one of the requirements of being a soldier of the Most High, you have to be patient. But here it's talking about a different kind of soldier. Not just male, not just 20 years and up. It's saying, here are the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments with patience of the Most High and of the faith of Yahushua. But it's not just talking about the males anymore. That's what I'm trying to make you see. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High. Is that just men now, or is that everybody? That's the whole family. Yahushua told us that the war is brought to your household now. So everybody in that household becomes a soldier of the Most High. The man, the woman, and the children. And how do they do that? By what? Keeping the commandments of the Most High. But when you keep the commandments of the Most High, what happens? Let's go to the book of Revelations 12:17. Revelations 12:17. What happens when you start to keep the commandments of the Most High, my brothers and sisters? Because now, like I said, the war is not just with the male soldiers fighting, it's everybody. Revelations chapter 12, verse 17 says this.
Revelation 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
Who is Israel? Read on.
And went to make war with her, with the remnant of her seed.
So the remnant of her seed is who? All of us, the whole congregation, the whole family, the men, as well as the women, as well as the children, those that keep the commandments of the Most High. Read that from the top again.
Revelation 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High.
That's all of us. It's not just the brothers over here trying to keep the commandments. It's the sisters also. It's the brothers. It's the wives. It's the sisters, the brothers, the sons, everybody that's in the household or the army of the Most High. Read on.
And have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Meaning what? The dragon and the devil is angry with you because you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing. And what's he going to do? Is he going to go to war with just the males? No, he's going to go to war with all of us that keep the commandments of the Most High. You need to understand that. Okay, that's why a man has to be a righteous man in his house. Teach the law, teach the word, teach what? The testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. You understand? Got to teach Christ in your house, brothers. Got to teach it, man, the commandments in Christ. Sisters also, because in the beginning, remember, the men went to war, the sisters, the mothers, the wives stayed home, and they had just as an important job, which is to keep the household when the man wasn't there. Teach the children. What happens when you don't teach children? They turn to rebels. And back then, the law said what? If you have a rebel child in your house, you bring him out, and what happens? The whole community stones him. So her job is just as vital as a soldier on the battlefield. Always has been. Sometimes we take from it and say, hey, you ain't doing nothing, you just cleaning the floor. Nah, it's just as important. But remember, what's so vital is that the Most High said in Genesis 1:26, he created male and female. And when he did that, he gave them roles. So the man is still the head of the house in the presence, whether he's there or not. But the man has a certain job and role, and the woman has a certain job. The man being the husband and the father, and the woman being what? The mother, the husband, the wife, and the mother. Their jobs are vital. Look at the state of our households today, where there's absence of fathers. It's just her or just the grandmother. What happened to the children? They become monsters. They're monsters. You understand? They're doing all kind of things. They're effeminate. They're taking all kind of drugs like it's nothing, right? And they brag about it. They're useless. They're weak because the Most High's will is not being done. The Most High's order is not being followed. So you and I that come into this truth now, we got to make a difference. The males, you're a soldier of the Most High, but the females also are soldiers of the Most High in this battle, this spiritual battle. We just read about it in Revelation 14, 15, Revelations 12, 17. We just read about it. It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. That's all of us now. He's fighting against all of us, meaning what? We are all soldiers that have to fight back. How do we do that? Keep the commandments and teach the testimony of Yahushua. Everybody got that?
Come.
You got to get that, man. Because when you're over here as a man thinking, he's only dealing with me, he's driving her crazy, taking her away from you. And when he takes her away from you, your child is gone, right? You see the pattern? Remember, it was a pattern and a regulation of the United States that the black man could not be in the home for the black woman to receive certain benefits, right? So that was a program. Why did they do that? Why did they want that black man out of that house so bad? They wanted the systematic breakdown of the black family because they knew if they stayed together, what would happen? They would still be strong. We wouldn't have monsters in the homes today. The reason why we do is because of the absence of black men. Okay, but then the scripture tells you in Deuteronomy 28 that the man would lay seed with the woman and then leave the house. Everything was prophetic. This is how they destroyed our community. This is how they destroyed us as a people. So you and I now that come back to the word, we got to undo these things. You understand?
Come.
Now let's go to the book of let's go to Ephesians chapter 6. We're gonna go through this real quick. Because now that we learn that we're all soldiers and we're all on the battlefield, and the battlefield is wherever you are every single day, 24 hours a day. Satan is on the couch sitting next to you, on the bus sitting next to you, on the job sitting next to you. What weapons are you going to use? We're going to go through this real quick. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. And this is a review. Go ahead, my brother.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
So you're a soldier in the army of the Most High. You're a spiritual soldier. And just like a physical soldier, there's an armor that you wear. Okay, but now you are a spiritual warrior in a spiritual battle. So this is what the scripture says. Put on the whole armor of the Most High that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Read on.
Okay. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
It's not a physical warfare like it was before. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. Read on.
But against spiritualities.
You cannot see principalities. Read on.
Against powers.
You cannot see these powers at work. Read on.
Against the rulers of darkness, of the darkness of this world.
The rulers of the darkness of this world can see you, but you cannot see them. They plot, they plan, they do all kinds of things to bring you down and to destroy you. Okay? Something as simple as the kind of sodas and the kind of juices they bring into your neighborhood, the kind of meats they bring into your neighborhood. They plan these things. These are the rulers of the darkness of this world. Read on.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Right. So now this is what you're facing. That's your enemy. And you cannot see these things. So you cannot fight a spiritual battle with carnal weapons. You can't do it. You're going to lose. Okay? You cannot fight a spiritual battle with physical weapons, my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it with your carnal weapons. You can't. Read.
Okay. 13. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High.
Now the Most High is going to show you what kind of soldier that he wants today. These are the requirements today, not only with the garment, the spiritual garment, but with how you carry it and use it. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High. This is it. Read on.
That ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore.
Stop. Oh. That you may be able to stand. And then it says stand again. It's telling you something. You must be erect. When I say erect, standing straight up. spiritually. This is not physical. You must be what? Upright. And the word for upright in Hebrew is yashar. You must be upright. Read.
14. Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth.
Truth, my brothers. You say you're in the truth, but remain in the truth by receiving truth, not lies, not philosophies, not the word of men, but the truth. Don't mix truth with nonsense. Don't mix truth with lies. Don't mix truth with maybes or this is how I feel, this is my interpretation. That's not truth, man. Truth don't change. Read.
And having on the breastplate of righteousness.
Stay, remain righteous. Don't, brothers, start going being wicked. You don't go being wicked. That makes no sense. Okay? And having on the breastplate of righteousness, what does the breastplate do? It protects your inner organs, my brothers and sisters, on a physical soldier. When we say wear breastplates back in the day, this is talking about a spiritual breastplate to cover your spiritual what? Inside. Don't let people penetrate you with their words, with their weapons, with their artistry of the mouth.
God.
You gotta be whole. That's why the Most High said stand, because when you're standing, what are you? You're alert. When you're laying down, you're not alert. You're asleep. That's why it says what? Stand. And it comes back and says, I'm reading for you. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to what? Withstand in the evil day, and have done all to what? Stand. And it comes back and says what? Stand, man, therefore. Because when you stand, you're erect, you're alert, you're awake. When you lay it down, you're none of that. You're easily penetrated, easily defeated. The enemy, when does the enemy want to attack you? When you're alert, when you're ready, when you're standing with your weapon in your hand, or when you're laying down?
Laying down.
When you're laying down. So that's why I said stand, stand, stand. Be erect, be ready, man. Read.
Okay. 15. And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace.
Right. Meaning the way you walk, what you bring, you're about the gospel of peace. You got to look at the way some people perform and they function. They don't come like that. They come like your enemy. Might be wearing a garment next to you. This might have been made by the same man. Y'all got on the garment made by the same man, but you're enemies. You got to be the one that brings peace. And your feet shod or prepared with the preparation of the gospel of peace. This is talking about spiritual footwear. Not talking about your Nikes. You understand what I'm saying?
God.
The way you move, how you carry yourself, got to be with what? The preparation of the gospel of peace. You got to be prepared to be the peace with your people. Why do you think there's so many enemies and so much warfare and so much nonsense in our nation today? They don't have this. They think they do. They'll teach this, but they don't have this, man. It's just a lesson to them, brother. You got to be peaceful, but you're not peaceful. Don't you understand that this is a two-edged sword situation? Hebrews 4:12, real quick. Hebrews 4:12. This is the two-edged sword situation, man. Don't be a hypocrite, teaching peace but not being peaceful, teaching not to steal but yet stealing, teaching not to do adultery but you're adulterer. Don't do that, man. Hebrews 4:12.
Hebrews 4 and verse 12. For the word of the Most High is
the
quick.
word of the Most High, the most important thing out there. Read that again.
For the word of the Most High is quick.
So you got to be quick. Read on.
And powerful.
It's powerful. You got to be able to receive that and then give that out. Read on.
And sharper.
Sharp, my brothers. It might hit places that you don't want it to hit. Read.
And sharper than any two-edged sword.
Sharper than the word of the Most High, sharper than any two-edged sword. Why? It's going to
piercing.
It's going to cut your enemies, but it's also going to cut you. Piercing. Read on.
Piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit.
Meaning what? It's going to hit areas that you don't want it to hit. You understand what I'm saying? Read on.
And of the joints and marrow.
In crevices and corners, thoughts that you want private. Let's not talk about that. There's a lot of abuse amongst us in our communities. We don't want to unravel that. We don't want to uncover that. Why? Because then the truth comes out, but you need the truth to come out. Because then you are able to function. You gotten over it. When you keep things secret, what happened? The devil's right there keeping the secret with you. Don't talk to them. Remember what happened? Don't trust them. Remember what happened to you? You understand? You gotta free yourself. That's why it says the word of the Most High is a two-edged sword. It's not just for use for teaching, but it's used for also you being taught, you absorbing, and you learning. Read.
And a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart.
Exactly. That's the word of the Most High. A discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. You have your private thoughts. Your mind is almost like a private universe to itself. But the word of the Most High is going to go right through that. If you're a righteous man, if you're a righteous woman, if you're a soldier of the Most High and want to fight this battle. So many of us are found wounded on the battle floor. Why? Because we don't allow the word of the Most High to penetrate and heal. You understand? We want to teach others, heal them, but no, not me. I'm all right. I got on this garment. I'm good. No, man, you got to grow. Let's go back to where we were. We were in the book of Ephesians. Let's go back to Ephesians. This is about growth. This is about being better, not just for yourself, but for your family, your congregation. All right? For Israel. Let's read.
Okay. 14. What was it? 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14. Ephesians 6, verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith.
Take that shield of faith. The shield is what you hold in front of you to protect your body, right? You might be able to stop somebody trying to strike you. Okay, you might be able to withstand darts. That's what it does, right? It stops darts from touching you. You can move it around. It protects you, right? That's what but this is talking about a spiritual shield. It's not something you hold in your hand. The word is a shield to you. It guards you. You understand? It fortifies you. It makes you able to withstand, stop, and remove the word of the Most High. But you got to stay up in here. Because if you don't, it's going to get right past your armor, past the shield, past the armor, and penetrate to your spiritual organs. Read.
Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked.
The fiery darts of the wicked. Now we get to what the enemy uses. The enemy uses fiery darts. Wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the what? Fiery darts of the wicked. What's the fiery darts? All the ammunition that they use against it. We spoke about the television. We spoke about the music. We spoke about what we do in our communities. We spoke about not being open. We spoke about hiding things. You understand? The enemy knows all these things, and they're going to use these fiery darts against you. So remember that term, fiery darts. Matter of fact, talking about fiery darts, let's go to the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Because the fiery darts are going to seem strange because we're not on a physical battlefield, my brothers. We got to get that. We're on a spiritual battlefield. And on the spiritual battlefield, the weaponry is a little bit different. It's not conventional. You ever hear them say that in warfare? They're not using conventional means or matters. They're not using conventional weaponry. There's nothing conventional about the way that a war is fought today in the world. I don't know if you know that by now, because now they're not actually on the physical battlefield. They're using economic warfare. Did you know that? They use economic warfare. Don't you know that China used economic warfare against America, and they were able to rise against America? So that America now owes China so much money that America got to think about what they say and do when it comes to China. You understand what I'm saying to you? That's economic warfare. They use social warfare. There's a lot of different ways of fighting a war today that was not the way they did it in the past. That's why it's called unconventional means. So now the enemy's not going to come to you with his usual tactics. You understand what I'm saying? Before you came in here, you was, like I said, we spoke about being a weed head, right? You might have gotten over that. He's not going to come to you with that again. He's going to come to you with something else. You understand that? Now he's looking for something else, but what's happening is you are actually growing. You're graduated. That's why he's not going to come to you with what you got over. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial.
Now here Peter says fiery trial, but back then in Ephesians it used fiery darts. It's the same thing, my brothers and sisters. But the word trial here is appropriate because that's exactly what you're going through. Trials and tribulations. You got it? We're going through trials and tribulations. And what's going to be used against us? Fiery darts. So it says, read that again.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you.
We're so a lot of times not alert. We're so much a lot of times just out of it in our own world that we don't realize what's going on around us. You are not aware. You are not alert. Satan is fully aware, fully alert, fully ready to give battle to you. Any time of the day. You might just open your eyes, something happened. Something might cause you to open your eyes. The phone rings, something happens. Boom, he's at war with you. You're sleeping, the phone rings, and somebody says, get over here right now. They're about to kill each other. What happens, man? That's just a war that just started. You got to run over there. Next, you don't know what you're running into. Because remember, you are always the one that they want the war to go against, not the two that are fighting. It's not them, it's you. It's about you. Because when those two come into the word now they're the victim. You understand? But anything before that, it's you. You. Got to get that. Nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is just happened. Nothing is always just me. No more. Come to the realization, open your eyes and come to realize that it is all about you. At home, on the job, on the way home or to the job, all about you. They're firing these fiery darts at you because now you're going through this fiery trial. Read that from the top.
Okay. 12.
Yep.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you.
Don't think it's strange. It happened unto you because it's focused on you, because it's all about you. It might appear strange, but it's really not. It's just that the reason it's strange is because it's not what happened before. It's not not the weakness that you had before. This is something different now. This is a different type of challenge, a different type of situation, a different type of scenario. You understand? You got to wake up to that. We got to wake up to that, because when we wake up to that, then we're okay. But read 13.
Okay, verse 13. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering.
Don't be sad. Don't be depressed. Sometimes I go through it. I got to wake up out of that. You understand? We got to get to that. Sometimes a depression, which is another spirit and tactic of the devil, comes over me. And I'm going to tell you, it comes over me strong, heavy. You know, like I feel like, damn, I'm going through this again. You understand what I'm saying? But I got to snap out of it. And when I snap out of it, I say, oh, okay, hold on. And I'm going to tell you a gift that I have. I got a wife that's always around me. And she gets me and I get her. She going through it. I say, hold on, you know what you're going through, right? I got my kids. Same thing with them. I said, don't worry about stuff like that. Don't make it bring you down. But we got to get each other. You understand? Got to, man. We got to be the ones that look over each other and protect each other. Okay, where you at?
Okay. That when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy.
So I always say, pray for each other, reach out to somebody during the week, connect with somebody. If you're not married, if you're not in a scenario or situation where there's somebody else with you in the word, that's what I'm talking about. Connect. You understand? Brother, sister, wife, husband, whatever. Friend in the word, brother in the word, camp member. Beautiful. Okay? But I want to review something with you real quick, then we're going to move on. You're supposed to do what? Number one, your loins supposed to be girded with what? Faith. You're supposed to have on the breastplate of righteousness. Your feet shod with the gospel of peace. You're supposed to have the shield of faith against some fiery darts. The helmet of salvation, right? Did we read the rest? Let's go back and read it. Ephesians chapter 6.
17.
Read.
Yeah.
This is very important. The helmet, read it. Read 6:17.
Oh boy. Excuse me, Salakia. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 17. And take the helmet of salvation.
Right. I just want to stop right there because we read so many places that the army of the Most High, you read it in Numbers, you read it in Deuteronomy, you read it in the Judges, talking about Gideon, cannot be afraid, right? You cannot be afraid. It said it over and over and over and over and over again. That's what that army of the helmet of salvation is talking about. You have faith on your mind, salvation on your mind, not fear, my brothers and sisters. Not fear. The helmet of salvation, meaning what? You know you win. It says what? Salvation is of the Jews. Does it not say that?
Mm-hmm.
So that salvation, that helmet of salvation is what you have on your mind. It's not talking about a physical helmet, a spiritual helmet that you have on your mind that says, man, in the end, we win. We win, brothers and sisters. That's why it says the helmet of salvation. Give me John 4:22. You got to put everything together as a puzzle. When you put that puzzle together, you get it. But if you don't have that puzzle and all the components of the puzzle, what happens? You're lost. There's certain missing parts. Those certain missing parts is what the devil is going to concentrate on. Oh, he ain't got the helmet of salvation. Let me get him with that. Okay, that's where I'm going to put my dart today. Read.
John chapter 4, verse 22. Ye worship, ye know not what.
And that's what the world worship is, but that's also what our community worships, my brothers and sisters. They don't know what they're worshiping.
Mm-hmm.
You got one block. You got 3 different doors, and they're all different denominations. They don't know what they're worshiping. How? How could they know? You got Jehovah's Witness on this door, and in the middle you got Baptist and you got Presbyterian over here. Same block. There's a block that I know in Mount Vernon where there's 3 literal doors, and each one of them is on the same building right next to each other. You can go to the left, you could be a Jehovah's Witness, you go to the right, you can be a Presbyterian. I'm dead serious. And the next one, you could go to the door right there in the middle. Oh, you're a Seventh-day Adventist. You good, right? That's confusion. Read that again.
Okay. John chapter 4, verse 22. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship.
We know what we worship. Why? Because we know the word. We know who we are. We have that helmet of salvation. Read that.
For salvation is of the Jews.
No, that's not saying is salvation of the Jews or maybe some. No, it says what? Salvation is of the Jews. That's what your helmet's telling you. Salvation is of the Jews. There's no guesswork here. Okay, it ain't nothing you got to say maybe or I think. No, it says salvation. Who's speaking here, man? You got to get that. Put that together. So you walk down the street with that. You got on your helmet of salvation. Can nobody penetrate? Not fear, not worry, nobody, nothing. But you got to put that all together.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking out. Don't walk down the street without your helmet of salvation.
Gone.
Don't walk around talking about I got part of the garment. I got the shield of faith and all of that. But you know, my helmet is kind of, I left it at home. You better go back home and get it. You understand what I'm saying to you? You better go back home and get that, man. Because if you don't go back home and get that, somebody gonna knock you in the head with what? Sin. But also, they're gonna knock you in the head with things that make you wonder. Oh, wow, that could be. You might be right. I'm not sure. Because you don't have the helmet of salvation. They're looking at your naked head, saying, that boy don't know what he's talking about. We can get him with this and we can get him with that. You understand what I'm saying? Because you don't have on the full armor. You're naked. You're naked. Now, your enemy out there might not be able to see with physical eyes, but Satan sees, and he sends him right after you. Make him worry. Make him become insecure. You understand what I'm saying? Make her not sure about this. Ask her this question because you don't have on the helmet of salvation. If you don't have on your helmet and you're in the middle of the battlefield, right? Everybody else got on the helmet. You don't. You got the shield. You got the breastplate. You get your feet is shod. All of that, right? You got on all of that. Where is your enemy going to aim at? Your shield? Why would he aim there? Why would he aim at your head wide open, right? Think about that, man. So that's what's going to happen. You need all the parts, the requirements, the pieces of the armor. If you ain't got that, you're like walking naked. Okay? So you got to think about that. So we'll go back to Ephesians. Matter of fact, you read the rest of that.
Okay. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. 23. But the hour cometh.
What meaning right is right now. Read.
And now is.
Now is, man.
When the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
That's what we're dealing with. The hour cometh and now is. It's not yesterday or way tomorrow, way back then. You know what I'm saying? It's now when the true worshiper shall worship the Most High. In what? Read that again.
Okay. When the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
In spirit and in truth. Not just in truth, not just in spirit, but in spirit and truth. We're talking about what? Spiritual warfare. We're in the truth. We need all these components together. We can't have one lacking the other. We can't leave the house without parts of the garment. You understand?
God.
Because you're not regular anymore. You're not just anymore, coincidence anymore, just happening anymore, just so-called. And no, that's not you. You are in the word of the Most High. You're a spiritual target. Understand that. Every day, not just on the Sabbath. Please understand that. Not just on the Sabbath, not just while you're in camp, not just while you're praying, all the time. Did not the scripture say that the devil goeth about, or do you think he only does that at midnight, like they say? You know, he only comes out at the witching hour. Is that what's going on? No. Okay, let's go back to Ephesians and finish that off. Ephesians chapter 6. There's another component to the garment. We read about the feet shod with faith and so forth. We read about the breastplate. We read about all these things. There's another component that's very necessary in the full armor or armament of the soldier of the Most High, the spiritual warrior in the spiritual warfare. Another element. Read, my brother.
Let me see.
18.
18. Praying always.
Stop. That's the next component within your garment. Prayer. Prayer is the next element, component, and necessary additive to your garment, your full armament. To be fully armored, you need this. You need that, man. Prayer goes with you as a soldier. Okay? That spiritual soldier, which is the brothers, which is the sisters, which is the husband, which is the wives, which are the sons, which are the daughters, and so forth and so forth and so on. In the beginning, it was just men, 20 years and above, males, so forth. It's not like that no more. Now it's everybody, the whole family unit, the whole assembly, the whole everybody. Okay? You walk into this word, you have to be fully geared. So read that again. To the top.
Praying always with all prayer of supplication in the spirit.
That's the kind of soldier that the Most High is looking for. Fully armored with everything we just read prior to that, but also in verse 18, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the spirit. Meaning what? What does supplication means? Can anybody tell me what supplication means? Anybody?
Humbling yourself.
Humbling yourself, but you're begging the Most High. Just like how a soldier would on the field. Please let me get out of this war. Help me to survive. Praying always with all supplication in the spirit. You're asking the Most High, but not just please, you're not doing it mechanically. You're not doing it just out of just to do it. It's in you. You mean it. Please save me. Please save me. Please hear me. Yearning. You understand? That's the kind of soldier that the Most High wants. That's why he can't be afraid, because then he's thinking about what he's fearing. You understand? He can't be distracted because he's thinking about everything that's distracting him. He can't be thinking about his house, his vineyard, his wife, none of these things, because these things are going to stop him from thinking about the Most High. Here it's saying he has to be praying with all supplication to the Most High, concentrated to the Most High, knowing that what? My only survival is the Most High. Got to get that. I get it. I've lost it and I've gotten it back. You understand? You're going to lose it. And I pray you get it back. Because some people lose it, and then in that state of being lost, they walk away. Read on.
And watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
So when I say we're not supposed to be distracted, that's what it means. And watching. You're supposed to watch thereunto to see what's going on. The prophecy of the Most High is like puzzle pieces. They have to be all put together. But they're not going to be, when you're putting the puzzle together, you don't just do it orderly, piece one, piece three, piece. No, you got to put it together in a certain manner, how you see it. You might look at the picture on the box and say, okay, this goes here, whatever the case might be. That's the prophecies of the Most High. They come together incrementally, differently, but not all with, like order. You understand? There's an order to it, but you don't know that order. The Most High knows the order. You understand? So you got to understand. That's why you got to constantly watch. All right. Now, verse 19 says what?
It says, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel.
Because now you're a full soldier. You're fully armored. You're using all your armor. You're a spiritual warrior. You understand? A spiritual warrior. You're ready for the battle. And you're so ready, you can boldly speak. Not speaking guessing. Not speaking, not being sure. Because they can hear that. They can detect that. But now it says what? To make known the verse 19 again. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly. Boldly. When you open your mouth boldly, you're fully secure. You're sure. You know what you're about to say.
God.
There's no question about it. To make known the what? The mystery of the gospel. Because the mystery of the gospel is so great. That's why it talks about the two-edged sword. Because when he say, you know what, those Gentiles that the scripture was talking about, those are Israelites. That's a touchy subject. But that's a part of the mystery of the gospel. I want you to understand that. So when you say, well, when Paul was writing to the Galatians, when he's writing to the Corinthians, when he's writing to the Philippians, when he was writing to Timothy, when he's writing to this one and that, he was writing to Israelites. You say that, they say, no, get out of here, man. What are you talking about? Those are the Gentiles that the Lord brought in. They're all people. They're all nations, right? See, it's a slippery slope. It's the truth. But it's hard for people to believe. They might turn around and make you not believe. Now, brother, what are you talking about, man? Timothy was a Gentile. What are you talking about? Luke was a doctor, but he wasn't an Israelite. Come on, get out of here with that. We know better than that, right? You understand what I'm saying? Come on, man. Matthew, the tax collector, get out. He wasn't an Israelite. What? Come on, Luke, Mark and him. You understand? But these are the fiery darts that the enemy will throw at you. So you have to be what? Fully persuaded before you open your mouth boldly, or you become empowered with the Spirit of the Most High. You understand?
God.
That's the way it has to be. And if it's any other way, I don't know about that way, but you're to become what? An ambassador, right? Read.
Okay. 21. But that ye also may know.
No, read 20.
Oh, 20. Salakia. For which I am an ambassador in bounds.
That's the kind of ambassador you are. You're ambassador in bonds.
Bonds.
Like who? Paul was an ambassador in bonds. He traveled for a while, but he had physical bonds because he had that sickness in his side, right? He prayed to the Most High several times to let him get over it. The Most High said, no, that's what I'm giving you because that's what you deserve, to be a soldier of mine. Because of the dirt, things that went on, right? But then he was physically casted in prison, right? So it's an example so you could understand what kind of an ambassador you are. An ambassador is the one that represents a nation but brings the word to others. What kind of ambassador are you? Verse 20, for which I'm an ambassador in bonds. That's the kind of ambassador you are. Read on.
That therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak.
Exactly. So even in bonds, like Paul spoke boldly, you have to speak boldly. Get the example right. Christ Yahushua knew what the end was. You understand? So he was an ambassador of the Most High, but he was an ambassador in bonds, knowing what would be the end. That's why they write so many books. There's a new gospel. Christ never went on the cross. He just lived. He had a family and all of them. They moved to China. They had babies, all of that, right? You understand? That's not what Christ knew. He knew in the end he would get crucified, and that crucifixion was no joke. Because once the spirit is in the flesh and the spirit is connected and you feel it. You understand? So he knew the end because they created all these things. You understand? So you and I we're ambassadors in bonds, meaning what we're fully attached to it. Read on.
Okay. 21.
I'll tell you what, let's skip 21. Let's skip 21 and let's go to Romans 16:1. We're going to bring this to an end. Let's bring this to an end, definitely. Because I wanted to just add a little something towards the end of the class, only because when what happened in the beginning is that the army that we read about, the soldiers that we read about, the army was fully composed of males. And like I said, the job that the woman and the wife or the mother did at home was equally as important. Raising of the children and keeping of the home, okay? If the woman didn't do her job, them children turn into demons like we have today. Okay, that's what you see. Today, the woman can't do her job because social media, school system, I mean, you can't even correct your child today. You understand? They say if your mommy or your father hit you, you tell me, and what they gonna do? Next thing you know, you got social service, whatever you call them, police knocking on your door. You can't be a full parent today. Okay, but that's how hard their job is, I should say. We're in the book of Romans 16:1.
I command unto you, Phoebe's our sister, which is a servant of the church, which is at Corinthia.
The reason why I'm reading this is because I wanted you to understand that Paul acknowledged the women that was with him, that he taught, that he traveled with, that also in turn taught the word as soldiers of the Most High in the war. Read on.
Verse 2, that ye receive her in the Lord as becometh saints, and that ye assist her in whatever business she had need of you. For she had been a sorcerer. Sakura. Salakia.
That's okay.
Sakura. Of many, and of myself also.
The reason why this scripture verse is so important is because nobody does this job better. The word Sakura means comforter. Yahushua can be Sakura with us because guess what? He can, because he was in the flesh and went through everything that he went through in the flesh and then was crucified in the flesh, he can Sakura with us. You understand? But Phoebe was a comforter. Am I saying her name right? Yes.
Yeah, Phoebe.
And it's so important that you understand that this job is so important. Nobody does it better than the women, the sisters. But brothers have to do it to each other too. Be comforters. Be people that welcome. But their job is just as important as ours. The devil is attacking them just like he's attacking us. He's attacking our wives, our sisters, our nieces, our children, our daughters. You understand? So don't think this thing is one-sided. This thing, man, is attacking the entire family. So let's leave here and go to the book of Mark 1540. Mark 1540. When Yahushua was here, there was many women that followed Yahushua. But you don't really hear their names. You just hear about them, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus and so forth. Many Marys, right? Let's go to Mark 15:40 real quick.
Mark 15, verse 40. There were also women looking on afar off, among whom was Mary Magdalene.
Now, there were women looking afar off, but looking when Yahushua was being crucified. They were so involved. They were with him during his whole mission. They financed him. They secured him, meaning comforted him. They helped him. They told him about their problems. He healed them. You understand? They walked with him, but you hear about the 12 disciples, which you're supposed to, but you're supposed to also read this. Read that again.
Okay, Mark 15, verse 40. There were also women looking on afar off, among whom was Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, the least, and of Josie and Salome, who also, when he was in Galilee, followed him and ministered unto him. And many other women, my brothers and sisters, were in the army of Yahushua. When I say the word army, we're saying that because they were soldiers. The men were soldiers that followed Yahushua, the 12 disciples, the 70 disciples, and so forth and so on. Okay? But there were many other women. And it's very important that we connect to that, man, and show that. Because you can't just say it's just the men. Men have a habit of doing that, and then the women don't get the credit they're supposed to. The sisters don't get the credit they're supposed to. They never have. That's why you hear about them in a few verses here and there, but nonetheless, they're being acknowledged. Top again. Okay. whom also, when he was in Galilee, followed him and ministered unto him,
Mhm.
and many other women which came up with him unto Jerusalem.
They followed him up to Jerusalem, my brothers and sisters. When he was being crucified, they were still there looking from afar off, but nonetheless looking because they were so concerned with him. You understand? So it's our job to acknowledge them, because then they understand that their job is just as important and they're being attacked just as much. Mary Magdalene had what? 7 demons, right? Then Yahushua healed her and she followed him. Now he says to what? Every Passover feast of unleavened bread, we should mention Mary that anointed him, I should say, with the spikenard with her own hair. He said, mention her every time you come together for this feast. Why did he do that? Because he acknowledged her.
God.
So in him acknowledging her, we acknowledge her. You got to understand, very important. We're going to be saved, brothers and sisters, not just the brothers, not just the men. This is not just the male soldiers like we read about in the beginning that went to war. The whole family, the whole nation. You understand? Not just going to be men in the wilderness, man. Because guess what? When Moses brought us out of Egypt, again, you read it says 600 foot men left out of Egypt. It doesn't count the women and the children, right? But there were always more women than children. So if there were 600,000 men, how many women were there? More than that. Think about that. More children. So there was over 1 million people that left out of Egypt. Let's just acknowledge that first of all. Let's acknowledge that. You understand what I'm saying? But the way the scriptures is written in a certain way that if you don't think about it and put it together, you're going to leave one very, very important component out of the mix: the women. But Yahushua acknowledged them, I should say, and we have to do that. Okay? Now, to finish off, we go to Matthew's, looks like 22:14. Matthew 22:14. I also want to acknowledge Miriam the prophetess. I want to acknowledge, let's go to Judges 4 real quick. One of my favorite sisters in the scriptures. Judges 4 and 4.
4 and 4?
Yes, sir. And I know y'all gonna know who I'm talking about. Deborah. Okay.
Judges 4 and verse 4. And Deborah, a prophetess.
Deborah, my brother.
Deborah, a prophetess.
Like Miriam, who was also a prophetess. Read on.
The wife of Lapidoth. She judged Israel at that time.
So before the time of judges, she became a judge. You understand? Before the time of the kings, actually, is what we should appropriately say. She was a judge. You understand? In Israel, a female, and these people loved her. They admired her, man. You understand? So I'm going here because I'm just wanted to show you that, you know, there were women that was actually helping and healing the nation. Read on.
Okay. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment.
They came up to her, the children of Israel, meaning what? The men and the women. They came up to her like they went up to Moses for judgment because she was righteous in the law. Read.
And she sent and called Barak and the son of Abinan out of Kadesh Naphtali. And she said unto him, hath not the Lord power of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw forward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun.
Right. She's saying to Barak, didn't the Most High say to do that? But Barak had some level of fear in him. You understand? But I want you to see that the Most High arranged this because Barak says something very important to her. And the Most High put it in her for him to see. You understand? Read on.
And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon, Sisera,
Mhm.
the captain of
Jabin.
Jebin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. And Barak said unto her, Be thou, if thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go.
Exactly, because he saw the spirit that the Most High had on her. He had some level of fear in him that, you know, the Most High set it up that way. Okay, now let's go to verse 17. We're talking about Deborah, but there's also another female and sister in here that I want to acknowledge in verse 17. Is it 17? Yeah, 17.
Verse 17. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Canaanite. For there was peace between Jabin the king and Hazor, and the house of Heber and the Canaanite. Salakia. And Jael went out to meet Sisera and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle.
So she covered him, making him feel like he was safe. Like, you're okay, man. I got you. Read on.
And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him.
Made him kind of sleepy. Okay, read on.
Again, he said unto her, Stand in the door at the tent, and it shall be, when any man doeth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? That thou shalt say no. And Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent and took a hammer in her hand and went softly unto him and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it unto the ground. For he was fast asleep and weary, so he died.
So the Most High delivered the army into the hands of a woman, like the scripture said. And they were warriors, because what she did took a lot of heart.
Mhm.
I don't know if a lot of us could do that today. You take a nail and you just drive it through somebody's head. You understand what I'm saying? But nonetheless, she had that spirit of warfare in her. The Most High put it in her. So we acknowledge Deborah. We acknowledge this sister right here, Abigail, right?
Jael.
I'm sorry, Jael. Abigail is another one.
I don't know. There's some women out there that could.
There's a whole lot. Matter of fact, let me read off some names for y'all real quick, because you know what, it's just what we're supposed to do in acknowledging the history. Okay, you know, of course, we got Deborah, we got Jael, which we just read about, Abigail, right? We got Esther, we got Rahab, right? We got Judith, we got Mary, if there's so many Marys, right? We got Ruth. There's so many of them, and we don't acknowledge them enough. But again, they were warriors. They were a part of the fight. They were soldiers of the Most High, and we're all soldiers of the Most High at this point in the war. It's not just the males fighting; it's the females as well. It's the wives, it's the sisters, it's everybody. Okay, so I wanted to go into this class, man, because I wanted to show you what a title of the class is: Who and What is a Soldier of the Most High? This covers it. We can go further, and I'd love to go further. We can do that another day, because we have to expand and also always remind each other not only the requirements of being a soldier, the tactics that soldiers use, what are the fiery darts that are used against the soldier, but we have to also help and remind each other how a soldier endures. And that could be our next class. How a soldier endures, because it's a constant thing. It's a constant battle, but that's what this battle is. It's constant. You got to be constantly on your feet, constantly aware, constantly watching, and constantly being in the mindset of, this is the Most High's war, and I am a soldier in his army. Okay, my brothers and sisters,
God.
Shalom.
Shalom.